You hear bells?
No.
Not at all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We welcome you to come forward and light candles to represent any joys or concerns in your life. Later in the service, there will be an opportunity to share significant joys or sorrows with the congregation. Our call to worship this morning is an adaptation from the Abingdon Worship Annual in 2012. And at the end of this reading, please respond in unison, "Come, let us worship together." Here in this place, there are no foreigners, for all are welcome in God's house. Here in this worship, there is only acceptance, for love is the language of faith. Here in our lives, there are no divisions, for God dwells in each of us. Come,
Let us worship together.
unity and love.
Ah!
I tricked it, that was the end of it. And
Come, let us worship
together. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Canton. As our mission, we strive to provide a caring and compassionate community as we nurture the spiritual growth of our members and friends. Here we stand on a historical foundation that promotes religious freedom and social justice. Here we celebrate diversity because we know that each one of us has a unique and essential contribution to the whole. Here we welcome different beliefs and affirm the inherent worth and dignity of each person. We are glad to have you here with us today on this bright, sunny, beautiful winter day. We hope you find in this service something that touches both your heart and your mind. If you are new to our community, welcome. We invite you to sign our guest book near the front door, if you choose, and pick up a copy of our monthly newsletter. After today's service, we invite you to join us for snacks and conversation. I lit our chalice this morning in the spirit of love that this holiday reminds us to take time to acknowledge and appreciate. In celebration of the spirit of our beloved community, let us speak together the guiding words of James Villa Blake as a covenant of the bond that we share. And they're on the wall here.
Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Now, reading one, please.
This is How Do I Love Thee, Let Me Count the Ways by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who is actually a distant relative of mine, so this is interesting. So, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee in the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight, for ends of being an ideal grace. I love thee to the level of everyday's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God chose, I shall but love thee better after death.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. That was beautiful. We're going to move on to our main message. One of my very first friends from when I moved to Ohio with my husband. 20-something years ago. I too am a member of the fan club. We're out with you, and you have stood by us in times of life and death, and really brought a lot of peace in difficult moments, as well as joy and mirth and laughter and fun too. So I welcome you to come up and share with us the mystical power of acceptance.
Now, I'm not sure what I'm doing. And that's the hope here today. And I want to say a lot of things. I hope it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if it makes a lot of sense, then it's too much me in it. I hope it feels a lot of sense from inside, and maybe not even be able to repeat it, just know that it feels right. It's a story that I'm going to tell you. Now, it's a great story because I made it up. I'm the main character. I love this story. I'll never be able to repeat it exactly this way again because it's part of what's you, or part of your part of you that's me. You know, depending on how you think and believe, we're all connected. And then maybe this is not even the first time we were here or somewhere else, and blah, blah, blah. You know how all those mystical things go. And for many of the people who are here today, you have allowed me into your lives, and you've told me your stories. And there's some great ones. And I want to return that gift today. I know when we share, whether it be in a service or amongst, Sandy and I call it the kitchen table, we leave behind footprints that I hope you can follow later. What I want to share is what I've seen, what I have felt, what I've experienced up to today about this thing called acceptance and love. So I'm going to go. Here it is. The Mystical Story of Acceptance and Love by Christopher Hewitt 2.0, or Valentine Day 0.0, right? Now, I'm going to count on you for the accuracy of my math, okay? As I do my mystical math, feel free to raise your hand and say, Christopher, you might want to check that. I'm going to count on you two to keep it funny. So if I have to say certain words to trigger laughter, I'll try somebody else. Doesn't have to be somber. And the more somber you look, the more ridiculous I promise to become. And some of you are aware that's pretty far out there. You know, they call them filters. There's all kinds of filters in the world. Mine's more like a sewer grate. A lot of shit gets through. So, I want to be aware. Before this 20 minutes or so is over, I want to talk about the mysticism. I want to talk about Puff the Magic Dragon and frolicked in
The autumn mist in a land called Hallelujah.
Not bad, huh? First 4 minutes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good, Chris.
We'll talk about trust. Yeah. And then I want to compartmentalize reality. Second verse, same as the first. I didn't know the second verse. I was going to print the words, Lisa, in hopes that we could. You know, Puff the Magic Dragon is really a song about acceptance. You think about his friend who no longer returns, and the feelings that Puff has when that friend isn't there. And yet the magic is he continues to live by the sea. All right, that's the best I got. Okay. Mysticism. Webster's dictionary didn't help. The internet is confusing. There's a man named Joel Goldsmith. He's a mystic. He's a regular guy. He died in the 60s. He doesn't look mystical. Kind of looks like a munchkin. He spoke about mysticism in a way that made sense to a middle-aged white kid from Brewster, Ohio. Because he kept talking about this way of being that made so much sense in my head. Mysticism. And he kept saying that if it was in your head, that's not it. If you can see it, think it, describe it, verbalize mysticism, you're not talking about it. You might be talking about religion. You might be talking even about spirituality or metaphysics. You could be talking about psychology, psychiatry. You could be talking about paganism and the rituals of nature. And those things can be mystical. That's not mysticism according to Joel. So I didn't know. He kept saying mysticism was an experience you had. It is without being. What? What? So I stayed with it, kept on what we call journey, my journey. Dang, I don't know when or how. I know how I experienced it. I get it. And I can't tell you. I get it and I can't describe it. And yet being partially Lebanese, I'm going to try. I'm going to talk and talk and talk until you take me off the stage, just like my mentor, Danny Thomas. I got a question for all of us. It's a simple question. Deep question. What do you trust? Who? What do you trust? I mean, really trust. I know you trust the bank has insured your savings to $120,000 or $100,000. Okay. You don't even trust that, Dolores. I figured it was legit. Okay. Then what do we trust?
My heart.
The universe.
Wow. Wow. You two kind of blew it for me. Those are great answers. I don't trust anything, really. Truth be told. I say though, I like those answers. I'd like to say that, yeah. Till shit hits the fan. And then all bets are off. Depending how big the turds are, or how fast the fan is on, how much I could get on me. When the going gets tough, I trust my fears. And I start to ruminate about all the potential consequences, make up these terrible nightmaric stories about this bump on my elbow, I'm going to lose my elbow, the downturn in this is going to take away that, somebody's going to figure out that I don't know, somebody's going to say that I don't like, and then I'm off to the races. Until it hurts so much that I say, what am I doing? And then, with this grandiose biblical effort, I try to accept what's going on. And depending on who I am in that moment and where I'm at in that moment and whether my wife my 10 is beside me or not.
10.5.
Today, 10.5 because Valentine's Day. I can go on for days, make myself sick, worry, and then feel so hypocritical to be able to stand up here and say something to you folks, like I know, like I am. It hurts sometimes to hear myself say the things that I often don't do, can't do, won't do, don't know what to do. So for a year or so, I think, I want to share what happened one day, but I want to tell you a little background story. This is a mini lead, kind of like. And even though it's okay that it's being recorded, because most of the players either don't live around here or are dead. Real simple. Now, I'm a drug and alcohol counselor primarily, follow the medical model for the diseases. Was born again so many times, they quit giving me certificates. You know, they just had me stamp my certificate. I'd bring it up to the altar call and they just stamp it this time, and 6 months later somebody else would stamp it. I got an altar call, looks like a passport. And then I was in so much pain, this is where Karen comes in, Karen and our friends, was in so much pain, and I'm not sure how exactly. Dagmar Toulouse, I think to this day, was the woman who introduced me to Emmett Fox and something called metaphysics. What in the world? Metaphysics led to a lot of things, and then spirituality. And then I walked around thinking I knew everything about everything because I was no longer religious, I was spiritual. It all started because I grew up in a home where it wasn't safe. Now, you drive by my house, you look at that house, you see 3 little boys, eventually a little girl, mom and dad, blah, blah, blah. You look at the home movies, unless you look close. You would think, he's a lucky boy. And I am a lucky boy. I was a lucky boy. And my father suffered from untreated depression. He was from the South, and I now understand what dirt poor means. It wasn't about food, that was a luxury. It wasn't about heat, that was unheard of. Dirt poor meant no floor, that the floor was dirt. Now there was plywood, you understand, there was plywood. So my dad didn't have a lot of what he needed to be the man I wanted him to be. He turned out to be the man he was. I still have mixed feelings. I'm not yet that far along this road less traveled. The pain I suffered through my own perception of my childhood was so painful that I think at around the age of 8, I discovered that if you kissed people's posterior, became a people pleaser, what clinically has been referred to as a codependent, shit went easier. You didn't get as much trouble. I got in trouble, but it was amazing how much I could avoid if I threw other people, other places, and other things under the bus. Wasn't me! So it had to be one of you two. Yeah. What happened isn't as profound as the story, except to me. I share with other people, of course, they think you were lucky. It's not a Reader's Digest version, you know, it's not, nobody's gonna pay me $50 to tell you what happened. It's not worth $50 to tell you. So I became a people pleaser, and I gotta tell you, it worked. My God, it worked for 25 years, almost 30 years. It was the best gig I had going. Until I ran out of steam. Couldn't do it anymore. When it was all said and done, I didn't know who I was. I really did not know which story was fake and which was real, who I told what did it mean. And then being a drug and alcohol counselor messed things up even more, because I had to tell people one thing and I was living another thing. So I got fibromyalgia. No, it's not, I don't want to do that whole thing, fibromyalgia. I just got to tell you, it sucks. And if you got it bad, it sucks really bad. And so I could no longer outrun whatever it was I was making up in my own head to outrun. And during that 3 or 4 years that I was immobilized, thought I was going to die, wanted to die, dying felt like a better option, I discovered some things on my journey, just like everybody else does. Now please understand, this is not that great a story. I understand your stories are probably better, so I appreciate your attention. Please don't get too bored. I'm going to get to the point. But what I want to tell you is how I got here, just like you. You know, it was pretty profound. So I did what the Bible said. I prayed. Ask and you shall receive. Worth a try, right? So this is where I compartmentalize reality. Okay, I don't even hear breathing. How boring, sorry. Okay, breathing and boring, Roberta. Not too bad, huh? You'd support me if I had a coma. Jeff? Worth the price of admission so far?
Yes.
Okay. Physical, mental, religious, spiritual. There are 4, but I'm going to start with the big 3. Physical is nature. And in the history of man, women, person, kind, you've heard about the pagans in the Dark Ages, and before they really had really good brains and really good clarity about who, what, when, where, why, they believed in nature. You know, every year the crops grew, the sun came up, sun was warm, crops were good. You better do something about that. This was God in the beginning. And you know what? This is God. I don't know what God is, though. I only got 20 minutes. This is what we're all about for the pagans. And they wrote down things, and they came up with a language, and they developed a philosophy, and it worked. Occasionally. And so it's better than what they had. And we have this today, our physical body. Paganistically, we worry about eating. We worry about sleeping. Sleep, eat. The joys of sleeping. My wife taught me that. Rest, taking care of ourselves. Nutrition. Prettiness. I shaved really slow today because I did not want a neck. I bleed like a pig, and I hate that, you know. Toilet paper. So we're physical, and that's an important part of who we are. Over time, we developed, they say because we ate so much protein, when we discovered fire, we could kill things and eat meat, and then our brains grew. That's as good as anything, right? Okay, now we're smart. Now we develop a language and a belief system. And we understand this is powerful. Wow, you don't have to do things physically to be physical. You can use your brain. And this brain became God. This brain became the study, the belief. I know something. And if I'm strong enough, I can make you know it. Whether I repeat it 1,000 times, I shame you into believing it, I conquer your lands, I do it in the name of God, I tell you what a horrible person you're going to be if you don't do it, or some way or another, I don't accept what is. At this point, we didn't have any choice. You know what? No rain, no food, no fun. At this point, we became gods, so to speak. I control what goes on. Now, this is the counselor. If you put these 2 things together today, your brain and your body, you're a human. This is the human condition. This is where I live most of the time. I did an experiment this morning. I woke up. That wasn't the experiment. And I said to myself, as of this moment, world-renowned, name on a plaque, or a billboard, I love that thing on the billboard, there's barely enough room for it all. I'm going to live in acceptance all morning. And then I'm going to come here and tell these mere mortals how to do this. And what great things as I levitate across the floor I have experienced today in shaving with acceptance, in bathing with acceptance, in dressing in acceptance. 7:33, I got out of bed. Let's call it 10:33. This started, 3 hours. I was in acceptance maybe 30 seconds. In 2-second intervals.
I'm in acceptance.
What, honey? What? You better get going. Are you still on that phone? Get off that phone. I'm back to acceptance. I haven't thought about acceptance since I stood up here. This is where I live. And when I talk to people, we live a lot here. We live a lot here. Thinking, breathing, feeling, farting, laughing. Pretty physical. Nothing wrong with anything I'm saying. As soon as I start to talk and I start to put things on paper, it could sound like, oh boy, he's another one of them human bashers. And none of this is wrong. I'm just telling you a story for 20 minutes, and I've only got a few minutes left, and you seem to be paying attention. I don't know if it's the both. Maybe it's both. Okay. Now religion. Wrong place to have this discussion, right? I think religion and spirituality are twins. I'm not sure who was born first. This is the language of this. And this language is spoken by certain people with a certain dialect from a certain country with a certain reference point. So I think if you're a Baptist, you come from the Baptist Islands and you talk like Baptists. And if you're Catholic, you come from the Catholic Islands and you talk like Catholics. And if you're Universal Unitarian Universalist, I'm not sure exactly where you get your stuff from. I like it. It's the language of your spirituality. It's the language of your spirit. And again, I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying, to the best of my understanding, this is where we think God is. All right, again, another lecture, another time. What is G-O-D? Dog spelled backwards. For a point of reference, cat lovers, sorry. Cat spelled backwards is tack. So you're stuck with it. Okay.
Oh my God, it's
no,
not.
it's not. It's fine. All right. Spirituality, religion is where God lives. What does any of this or all of this have to do with acceptance? I don't know yet. I haven't made that point. Let me see. If you have a relationship, and I don't know how to describe that, maybe a best-selling book, The Relationship with the Higher Power. Any selling book. 10 copies. Just to see my name, my ego-based name in print.
Gotta have a picture.
There we go. That's a good one.
If I bring my body lovingly if I bring my mind, regardless of what goes on inside, lovingly, if I close my mouth and my eyes, I think I sleep with my mouth open. If I close my eyes and I sit in silence and feel the sun on my body, or hear the sound of my baby's voice, or feel the warmth of my pet on my lap in the living room nap. Feel the presence of whatever I believe. If I bring this to this, I think you found whatever it means to be mystical. That's what I found. I found this isn't another language. This isn't another thing to do. This is. And when I can rest, Now watch this. This is amazing. This did happen this morning. Just repeat after me gently. Not robotically, gently. 3 times. Don't even repeat after me, just do it to yourself. Say let go. Sensually. Valentinely. To you. Out loud to
No, I
yourself.
don't understand what you said.
Let go.
Oh, let.
To yourself. Out loud, say let go 3 times.
Let go. Let go. Let go.
Sensually.
Let go.
Release your philosophical stinksters. I promise you, the discharge is not noticeable to the person sitting next to you. If you release your physical sphincters, now you're on your own. I'm talking about the mystical sphincter in Egypt that doesn't have a word for letting go. It's an experience. Doesn't have a muscle or a chakra. Acceptance of what is an experience. You don't have to have a reason why. It doesn't have to make sense to let go. And I can only promise you that I can't promise you anything. That's my greatest promise. Now, as a 58-year-old guy, I can promise you I can't do the things I used to do physically. Standing here in front of you today, I can tell you I don't remember everything the way I should, could, would, want to, sorry, I said should. Thank God I have any idea at all about how little I know about spirituality. I only know what I've experienced. You have a heart, biblical heart. You have a physical heart. And I gave you a Valentine heart. So there should be at least one per group somewhere. Everybody can have a heart. When I'm congruent, in unity, transcendent, Shalavana, it means that I can accept, doesn't mean I stop caring. It means I quit trying to control. I care about you and I accept you. I worry about my dog and I accept him. Acceptance is not a fix. I gotta fix this. Let me fix this. It's being supported. How can I support you? The voice of acceptance is not to nag, not to scold, not to should, not to mother, not to father, not to sister, not to brother. The voice of mysticism is a silent smile. You just told me something that I know how to fix, and that shit ain't right. And it goes against everything I believe. All I can do is smile. So I'm not going to change you. I don't want to shut the door on the past because of all the stuff you've done. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to worry about, if you do that, oh my God, if I do that, what's going to happen? Or even afraid this moment I look silly. Because I know I do. Acceptance can be found in letting go and letting God. Go back to trust. Letting go and letting Chris. Letting go and letting the government. Letting go and letting the Baptist. Letting go, whoever your God is, whatever your God is. That's all I'm really asking you to understand. That I can't accept anything without trust. And what I trust in will be evident to you. Whether I feel the peace of acceptance of God's love, of the mystery, or whether I fear the outcome, the person, place, and thing. is absolutely not what I wanted to say at all, and I think I'm done. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, thanks, Bill.
You talked about 4 categories. And you do the 3 on top and the 1 on the bottom?
This is number 4.
Is that the 4th one?
This is the 4th.
I thought so.
Yes, thank you for, again, I'm referencing, if you want to, like a debate, check my facts. You want to check with Joel Goldsmith. He calls it the 4th dimension. The first dimension is...
Yeah, I understand.
You got it, right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Puff the Magic Dragon. Jeff asked me when I gave him the prelude to this, "Gee, Mr. Hewitt, are you going to become a mystic?" Well, don't you know I wanted to say, "Why, yes, Jeff." I'm actually being fitted for a cloak and a sash, and I'm trying to figure out how to do the hair. And I am going to become a mystic. I said to Jeff, no, because I don't know what that would be. Except when I act mystical or mysterious, I do things that I would never consider doing any other time. So if you happen to be at the Stark County Fair this summer, in the heat of the afternoon, there wasn't nothing going on, it smelled like animals. The Spirit of my living God consumed me, and I accepted that awareness. And I went up to an empty stage with a live microphone with a bunch of people drinking beer and eating bad sausages, and I sang the first verse of Puff the Magic Dragon. And it was very free.
True story.
That's pretty mystical. And trust is the foundation of acceptance, letting go. So in conclusion, thank you. Acceptance is the condition or state of bringing all of me to whatever's going on in that moment, as if it was a brand extension of myself. Mysticism is what defines, and encourages me to continue on this path, bringing my body, my mind, my soul. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Thank you, Puff Daddy.
Oh, not fair.
Thanks, Karen.
I'm taking credit for coining that one. Thank you very much, Christopher, as always. And now I invite our reading number 2.
From Puff Daddy to John Legend.
Thank you.
My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy, and I'm out of my mind. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. I'll give my all to you. You are my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Give me all of you.
Thank you. Lord Byron.
She walks in beauty like the night, of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and o'er that brow so soft, so calm yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent.